You're scrolling again. You don't even remember opening the app, but here you are. Another video. Another post. Another dopamine hit that lasts exactly 3 seconds before you need the next one. And somewhere deep inside, beneath all the noise and all the content and all the endless consumption, there's a question you're afraid to ask. Why does none of this make me feel anything anymore? You've noticed it, haven't you? That strange emptiness that follows every binge. You watch something that's supposed to be funny, and you don't laugh. You exhale through your nose and keep scrolling. You consume content that's supposed to inspire you, and 5 minutes later you can't even remember what it said. You eat food that's engineered to taste incredible, and halfway through you're not even tasting it anymore. You're just going through the motions, filling time, filling space, filling the void that somehow keeps getting bigger the more you try to fill it. This isn't about willpower. This isn't about discipline or motivation or any of those surface-level solutions that never seem to stick. This is about something far deeper, far more disturbing and far more urgent than you've been allowing yourself to see. This is about what Aldous Huxley warned us about almost a century ago. A world where we wouldn't need to be oppressed because we would willingly oppress ourselves. A world where the chains would be invisible because they would be made of pleasure itself. You're living in that world right now. And the emptiness you feel? That's not a bug. That's a feature. Let me show you what's really happening. Let me show you why everything you consume leaves you feeling like you've consumed nothing at all. And more importantly, let me show you what this is costing you, not tomorrow, not someday, but right now, in this very moment while you're reading these words and half thinking about checking your phone. The truth about emptiness isn't that you're broken. It's that you've been systematically trained to mistake stimulation for satisfaction. You've been conditioned to believe that more input equals more fulfillment, when in reality the opposite is true. Every time you reach for your phone, every time you click on another video, every time you consume without pause or reflection or genuine need, you're not filling the void, you're deepening it. Huxley saw this coming. In Brave New World, he didn't write about a dystopia where people were beaten into submission. He wrote about a world where people were seduced into it, where pleasure became the prison, where comfort became the cage, where everyone was so busy consuming soma and entertainment and endless distractions that they never stopped to ask the most essential question: what am I trading for all of this? You know what you're trading. You feel it every night when you finally put down your phone and stare at the ceiling, wondering where the day went. You feel it every time you try to read a book and realize you can't focus for more than 2 minutes. You feel it every time you sit in silence and the silence feels like suffocation because you've forgotten how to be alone with your own thoughts. This is the cost, not the hours, though you're losing those too. Not the productivity, though that's evaporating as well. The real cost is your capacity to feel deeply, your ability to be present, your connection to what's real and what matters and what actually nourishes your soul instead of just stimulating your nervous system. Think about the last time you felt truly satisfied. Not excited, not stimulated, not distracted. Satisfied. That deep sense of enoughness that doesn't need anything else, doesn't want anything else, is simply complete in itself. Can you remember? Or has it been so long that satisfaction itself has become just another concept, another abstract idea you once understood, but no longer recognize in your actual lived experience? This is what consumption without consciousness does. It doesn't just waste your time. It erodes your capacity for meaning. Every mindless scroll is a small betrayal of your attention. Every binge is a vote against presence. Every time you choose stimulation over stillness, you're training your brain that emptiness is something to be feared and avoided, rather than something to be curious about and explored. And your brain learns fast. It learns that discomfort means reach for the phone. It learns that boredom means open the app. It learns that any gap in stimulation, any moment of quiet, any space where you might actually have to face yourself, that's a threat. That's danger. That must be filled immediately. So you fill it, and fill it, and fill it, until your entire life becomes one long continuous stream of consumption, with no breaks, no pauses, no moments where you simply exist without input. And then you wonder why you feel nothing. You wonder why nothing touches you anymore. You wonder why you can consume 1,000 pieces of content and remember none of them, feel nothing from them, be changed by nothing you encounter. The answer is simple and devastating. You can't feel deeply when you're always feeling superficially. You can't be moved by anything when you're always moving to the next thing. You can't experience satisfaction when you never stop consuming long enough to digest what you've taken in. Huxley understood this. He understood that the most effective form of control isn't oppression, it's distraction. It's giving people exactly what they think they want in the moment. So much of it and so constantly that they never have time to consider what they actually need. He understood that you don't need to ban books in a world where people are too distracted to read them. You don't need to suppress ideas in a world where people are too overstimulated to think deeply about anything. You just need to give them endless pleasure, endless options, endless novelty, and let them consume themselves into numbness. That's where you are right now. In the numbness. In the space between wanting more and feeling nothing. In the gap that keeps growing between the amount of stimulation you need and the amount of satisfaction you can actually experience. And here's what makes this truly insidious. You're participating willingly. Nobody's forcing you to scroll. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and making you binge content. You're choosing this every single time, which means part of you knows it's not working, knows it's not satisfying, knows it's leaving you empty, and you keep doing it anyway. Why? Because the alternative is scarier. The alternative is stopping. The alternative is facing the silence and the emptiness and the questions you've been avoiding by staying constantly stimulated. The alternative is discovering what's actually under all that consumption, what you've been running from, what you're really afraid to feel. But here's what you need to understand. That fear is lying to you. The emptiness you're running from, it's not what you think it is. It's not a void that will swallow you whole. It's not proof that something's wrong with you. It's actually the opposite. It's the part of you that's still alive, still capable of wanting something real, still refusing to be satisfied by the artificial, the shallow, the endlessly scrollable. That emptiness is your soul telling you the truth. This isn't working. This isn't enough. This isn't what you're here for. And the more you try to fill it with consumption, the louder it gets. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because there's something right with you. Something that refuses to be sedated. Something that knows the difference between stimulation and nourishment, between distraction and meaning, between consuming content and actually living your life. This is the part Huxley got so right it's haunting. In his dystopia, the people weren't suffering. They were comfortable. They were entertained. They had access to endless pleasure and zero pain. And that was exactly the problem. Because in the absence of any genuine challenge or struggle or friction, they lost the capacity for depth. They lost the ability to feel anything real. They became hollow. Happy, perhaps, in a shallow sort of way, but hollow. You're becoming hollow too. Every day you spend in constant consumption, you're trading depth for breadth. You're trading the capacity for profound experience for the guarantee of constant stimulation. You're choosing to feel a little bit of everything and nothing deeply. And eventually, that numbness becomes your new normal. You forget what it feels like to be truly moved, truly changed, truly affected by anything. The videos keep playing. The content keeps streaming. The food keeps coming. The notifications keep pinging. And somewhere inside, you keep shrinking. Not because any individual piece of content is harmful, though some of it certainly is, but because the sheer volume and speed and constancy of consumption leaves no room for integration. No room for reflection. No room for the kind of slow, patient, quiet processing that actually transforms information into wisdom and experience into growth. You take in more and more while becoming less and less. That's the paradox. That's the trap. That's why you feel nothing after everything you consume, because consumption isn't the same as nourishment, and stimulation isn't the same as satisfaction. And having constant access to everything doesn't mean you're getting what you actually need. What you actually need is so much simpler than what you're doing, and so much harder, because what you actually need requires you to stop, to pause, to create space between stimulus and response, to allow boredom without immediately medicating it, to sit with discomfort without rushing to resolve it, To let the emptiness be empty for a moment so you can see what's actually there instead of constantly covering it up with more and more consumption. This isn't about becoming a minimalist or deleting all your apps or retreating to a cave. This is about reclaiming your capacity to feel emptiness. But you can choose differently. Not easily, not comfortably, not without facing exactly what you've been avoiding. But you can. You can decide that today is the day you stop participating in your own hollowing out. Today is the day you stop choosing distraction over depth. Today is the day you start treating your attention like what it actually is. The most valuable, most sacred, most finite resource you possess. Your attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. What you pay attention to becomes your reality. And right now you're paying attention to everything and nothing. You're giving your life force to 1,000 different inputs that don't care about you, don't know you, don't want anything for you except to keep you consuming. Is that really how you want to spend this one existence? Is that really the highest use of your consciousness? To be a processing unit for content created by algorithms designed to exploit your psychology for profit? You know the answer. You've always known the answer. The emptiness has been trying to tell you. The dissatisfaction has been trying to wake you up. The feeling that something's wrong, something's missing, something's not quite right. That's not the problem. That's the solution trying to emerge. That's your inner wisdom refusing to accept the lie that stimulation equals satisfaction. Listen to it. Not tomorrow. Not after you finish scrolling. Not when you feel ready or motivated or inspired. Now. Right now. In this moment. This is where change happens. Not in the grand gestures or the perfect plans or the New Year's resolutions. In the small, quiet, easily overlooked choice to stop consuming and start being present. Close the app. Put down the phone. Sit with the discomfort that rises when you're not being constantly stimulated. Notice what happens in your body. Notice the urge to reach for something, anything, to fill the space. Notice the anxiety that comes with not knowing what to do with yourself when you're not consuming. And then notice something else. You're still here. You're still breathing. The world hasn't ended. The discomfort is uncomfortable, yes, but it's not unbearable. And underneath it, if you're patient enough to stay with it, there's something else. Something quieter. Something more real. Something that's been waiting for you to stop running and start listening. This is the beginning. Not of some perfect life where you never consume content again, but of a life where you consume consciously instead of compulsively. Where you choose what gets your attention instead of letting algorithms choose for you. Where you remember that the goal isn't to feel stimulated every moment, it's to feel alive. And you can't feel alive when you're numb. You can't feel alive when you're always consuming. You can't feel alive when you've trained your brain to treat every moment of stillness as an emergency that must be filled with input. Life happens in the gaps. Meaning emerges in the pauses. Depth develops in the silence. This is what Huxley understood. This is what your emptiness is trying to teach you. This is what every moment of numbness after consumption is pointing toward. The truth that you are not a machine designed for processing content. You are a conscious being designed for experiencing life. But you can't experience life if you're always watching it happen to other people. You can't feel deeply if you're always feeling superficially. You can't become who you're meant to be if you're constantly becoming who the algorithm thinks you should be. So what do? You start small. You start now. You start with one moment of conscious choice instead of unconscious consumption. You notice when you reach for your phone and ask, am I hungry for something real or am I just avoiding discomfort? You pause before you binge and consider, will this nourish me or will this just occupy me? You create space. 10 minutes in the morning without input. A walk without headphones. A meal without screens. Not because these things are inherently virtuous, but because they give you a chance to remember what it feels like to be present, to be here, to exist without constant stimulation. And yes, it will be uncomfortable at first. Your brain will protest. It will throw up every reason why you need to check your phone, why you need to watch just one more video, why you need to stay constantly connected and informed and entertained. That's normal. That's the addiction talking. That's the part of you that's been trained to believe that comfort is more important than consciousness. But it's not. Consciousness is everything. Presence is everything. The capacity to feel deeply is everything. And you're trading all of it for the shallow comfort of constant stimulation. Huxley's dystopia wasn't a prediction. It was a warning. He was showing us what happens when we choose pleasure over purpose, distraction over depth, comfort over consciousness. He was showing us what it looks like when a society loses its capacity to feel anything real, because it's too busy feeling everything artificial. You don't have to live in that world. You don't have to be that person. You do not have to keep participating in the system that benefits from your numbness and profits from your emptiness, and thrives on your inability to stop consuming. You can choose differently. You can choose depth. You can choose presence. You can choose to protect your attention like the sacred resource it is. You can choose to let the emptiness be empty long enough to see what it's really made of. Not absence, but potential. Not void, but space. Not something to be filled, but something to be explored. This is the work. Not adding more to your life, but subtracting. Not consuming more consciously, but consuming less frequently. Not finding better content, but finding better ways to be without content. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to say. Most of what you consume, you don't need. Most of the input you're taking in is not helping you grow or heal or become more fully yourself. It's just occupying time. It's just filling space. It's just keeping you distracted from the real work of being human, which is not to consume constantly, but to create consciously, to feel deeply, to live fully. And you can't do any of that while you're scrolling. You can't become who you're meant to be while you're binging. You can't discover what you're really capable of while you're constantly consuming what other people have created. At some point, you have to stop taking in and start putting out. You have to stop being audience and start being author. You have to stop consuming your life away and start creating something that matters. Even if it's just the creation of your own presence, your own depth, your own capacity to be here now without needing anything else. This is what Huxley knew. This is what the emptiness is teaching you. This is what every moment of dissatisfaction after consumption is pointing toward. The truth that you are not here to be a passive receiver of endless content. You are here to be an active creator of genuine meaning. But you can't create anything real while you're constantly consuming. You can't build anything meaningful while you're always being built by algorithms. You can't discover your own voice while you're always listening to everyone else's. So listen to the emptiness instead. Listen to what it's trying to tell you. Not that something's wrong with you, but that something's wrong with the way you're living. Not that you need more, but that you need less. Not that you're broken, but that you're trying to fix yourself with the very thing that's breaking you. The consumption isn't the solution. It never was. It's the problem dressed up as the answer. It's the cage disguised as freedom. It's the thing that promises to fill you while slowly hollowing you out from the inside. And the only way out is through. Through the discomfort. Through the boredom. Through the anxiety of not knowing what to do with yourself when you're not consuming. Through the silence that feels like screaming at first, but eventually becomes the most peaceful thing you've ever experienced. This is the path. Not easy, not comfortable, not without struggle, but real. Genuinely, authentically, profoundly real in a way that no amount of content consumption can ever be. You know this is true. You've always known it. The emptiness has been trying to tell you. The numbness has been trying to wake you up. The dissatisfaction has been trying to redirect you towards something that actually satisfies. So let it. Let the emptiness be your teacher instead of your enemy. Let the discomfort be your guide instead of something to be avoided. Let the space between consuming be the place where you finally remember what it feels like to be fully alive, fully present, fully here. This is your life. Presence over consumption. Choose depth over distraction. Choose the uncomfortable truth over the comfortable lie. Choose yourself. The real you. The conscious you. The alive you. That's what Huxley was pointing toward. That's what the emptiness is teaching. That's what this moment is offering. Take it. If this resonated, subscribe for more essential truth. Drop a comment sharing your biggest challenge with consumption. And remember, the emptiness isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. See you in the next one. Not tomorrow's life. Not someday's life. This life. Right here. Right now. In this moment. And you can spend it consuming everything and feeling nothing, or you can spend it consuming consciously and feeling deeply. The choice is yours. It's always been yours. But you have to choose. You have to decide. You have to stop scrolling and start living. Not perfectly. Not without backsliding. Not without moments where you forget and fall back into old patterns. But consciously. Deliberately. With increasing awareness of what you're doing and why you're doing it and what it's costing you. Because the cost is real. The emptiness is real. The numbness is real. And no amount of consumption will ever fill what can only be satisfied by presence, by depth, by the slow, patient, genuine work of being fully human in a world designed to make you less than that. Huxley saw this. He tried to warn us. He wrote it down nearly a century ago and hoped we would listen. Some of us didn't, most of us didn't. But you still can. You can still choose differently. You can still reclaim your attention. You can still remember what it feels like to be moved, to be changed, to be genuinely satisfied by something real instead of just briefly stimulated by something artificial. You can still feel something after everything you consume, but only if you stop consuming everything. Only if you create space. Only if you allow the emptiness to be empty long enough to discover what's really there. It's not nothing. It's not absence. It's not proof that something's wrong with you. It's presence waiting to emerge. It's depth waiting to develop. It's the real you, the conscious you, the alive you, waiting patiently beneath all the consumption and all the distraction and all the stimulation for you to finally stop running and come home. Come home to yourself. Come home to presence. Come home to the kind of life that's lived instead of just consumed. This is possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. And it starts with one small choice. One moment of conscious attention. One decision to stop consuming and start being. Make that choice now, not later. Not when you feel ready. Now. While you can still feel the emptiness. While you can still recognize that something needs to change. While you still have the capacity to choose differently. Because every moment you spend consuming what you don't need is a moment you're not spending creating what you do. Every hour you give to distraction is an hour you're not giving to depth. Every day you spend numb is a day you're not spending alive. And you don't have unlimited days. You don't have infinite chances. You have this moment, this choice, this opportunity to wake up and remember what you're here for. You're not here to consume content. You're here to create meaning. You're here to feel deeply. You're here to be fully alive. So be alive. Choose